When the person who was supposed to love you the most became the person who hurt you the deepest, you don't just grow up, you grow around the damage. This is why when we talk about narcissistic parents, it resonates so deeply with so many people. It finally gives a name to a pain they thought was just a normal part of life. So today, we're going to break it all down. First, what actually makes a parent narcissistic? This isn't just about being a little self-involved. A narcissistic parent shapes your very identity. They see their child not as a separate human being, but as an extension of themselves, a reflection of their own image, a source of validation, or simply someone to control and mold. Your own wants, needs, and feelings, they barely register. There are two classic types you'll see. First, there's the engulfing narcissistic parent. This is the one who is controlling, intrusive, and incredibly demanding. They're all over your life. Then you have the ignoring narcissistic parent. This one is emotionally absent, neglectful, and inconsistent. They might be physically present, but emotionally, they're a ghost. Both of these parenting styles create lifelong emotional wounds, just in different ways. Most people don't even recognize the signs until they're adults, looking back. Do any of these sound familiar? They rewrite your memories. You say, "I remember when you said this," and they respond, "What? I never said that. You're just imagining things." Suddenly you start to doubt your own mind, your own reality. This is classic gaslighting. They also love you only when you comply. Their approval is completely conditional. Love isn't a constant. It's a reward for good behavior, for making them look good. They compete with you. Your success doesn't make them proud, it threatens them. But your failures? Those bring them a strange sense of comfort. They steal your spotlight. Your birthday party somehow becomes all about them. Your big achievement is twisted into something they accomplished. They control you through guilt, saying things like, "After everything I've done for you, you owe me." They demand absolute loyalty from you, but will betray your trust without a second thought. And worst of all, they shame your feelings. Stop crying. Stop being so dramatic. Stop being you. Your authentic self is an inconvenience to them. These behaviors leave behind hidden wounds that often stay buried until adulthood. They usually surface when you're in a serious relationship, when you become a parent yourself, or during a major life change. Let's talk about the big ones. The first wound is chronic self-doubt. When you grow up hearing that your feelings are wrong, your memories are unreliable, and your needs are too much, you learn to second-guess everything. As an adult, you don't trust your own intuition, your own gut feelings. The second wound is feeling responsible for everyone's emotions. You learned very early on that if your parent was upset, it must be your fault. So you became the peacemaker, the fixer, the emotional shock absorber for the entire family. Now, as an adult, you might find yourself constantly trying to manage the moods of your partner, your friends, and your colleagues. The third wound is a deep-seated fear of abandonment. The silent treatment, threats to leave, emotional withdrawal, these were the tools they used to control you. They conditioned you to believe that affection can vanish in an instant, especially right when you need it the most. The fourth wound is hypervigilance. You grew up constantly scanning the room, trying to read the emotional temperature. What mood are they in today? Is it a good day or a bad day? Do I need to make myself smaller to keep the peace? This translates into adulthood as chronic anxiety, overthinking everything, and a feeling of constant tension in your body. The fifth wound is confusing love with pain. When your earliest experiences of love involved hurt, demands, and conditions, you internalize the belief that love is supposed to equal suffering. This is why so many adult children of narcissists find themselves in relationships with emotionally unavailable partners, controlling partners, or people who simply treat them as less than. It feels familiar. It feels like home. This brings us to the sixth wound, being attracted to narcissists as an adult. This isn't a sign of weakness, it's conditioning. Your nervous system was literally trained to recognize certain toxic behaviors as normal. That chaos, that drama, that constant walking on eggshells, it feels like what you know. And finally, the seventh wound is the lost self. A narcissistic parent doesn't raise a child, they raise a role. You might have been the caretaker, the high achiever, the family scapegoat, the golden child, or the invisible child. Your entire identity was built around surviving your childhood. not discovering who you authentically are. These roles are something that really hits home for a lot of people. First, you have the golden child. This is the parent's trophy. They are praised, sometimes spoiled, and used as a perfect extension of the narcissist. But this role comes with a heavy burden, crippling perfectionism, immense pressure, and a constant fear of failure. One wrong move, and they could lose their status. Then there's the scapegoat. This child is blamed for everything that goes wrong in the family. They're punished for speaking the truth and become the family's emotional dumpster. Interestingly, the scapegoat is often the most mentally strong of the children, because they were the ones who resisted the control and refused to play the game. And then you have the invisible child. This child is ignored, overlooked, and emotionally starved. They learn that the best way to stay safe is to not be seen or heard. As adults, they often struggle with feelings of worthlessness and have a hard time taking up space in the world. So, how does all of this damage your adult relationships? It shows up in subtle but powerful ways. You apologize way too quickly, even when you've done nothing wrong. You find yourself attracting controlling people because that dynamic feels familiar. You either fear conflict and avoid it at all costs, or you overreact to it because it triggers old survival responses. You settle for crumbs of affection because you were taught that you don't deserve the whole meal. You don't know how to ask for what you need because your needs were always dismissed. You believe that love has to be earned, not simply received. The key thing to remember is this: you weren't broken, you were trained. This is why going no contact or low contact is so common for adult children of narcissists. For many, the parent never changes. They don't reflect on their behavior, they don't apologize, and they don't heal. They just continue the cycle of abuse until you make the decision to stop participating. Choosing to go no contact isn't an act of cruelty, it is a radical act of self-preservation and self-love. So, how do you begin to heal? Here's a roadmap that can actually help. Step 1 is to name the abuse. Call it what it is. Narcissism, emotional abuse, manipulation. Awareness is what breaks the spell. Once you see the pattern clearly, you can stop blaming yourself. Step 2 is to reparent your inner child. This means consciously giving yourself the things your parent never did: safety, validation, comfort, and unconditional love. This is where the real deep healing begins. Step 3 is to set firm boundaries without needing to explain them. Narcissistic parents don't respect explanations. They see them as an invitation to argue and manipulate. They only respect consequences. A simple no is a complete sentence. Step 4 is to stop trying to win their approval. You are chasing something they are incapable of giving. It was never about you. It has always been about them. Letting go of that hope is painful, but it's also incredibly liberating. Step 5 is to build an identity outside of the role they assigned you. You get to decide who you are. You can be soft, bold, loud, creative, quiet, joyful. You can be you, not the version of you they tried to create. Step 6 is to create a new definition of love. Healthy love isn't pain. It isn't chaos or fear. Healthy love feels calm, secure, reciprocal, and safe. It feels like a soft place to land. And step 7 is to choose connections that heal you, not ones that repeat the trauma. You deserve relationships that feel like a warm hug, not an emotional battleground. The wounds from a narcissistic mother or father are deep, but they are not your destiny. You have the power to rewrite your story. You can break the patterns. You can build a life based on your truth, not their trauma. And the most powerful part of this journey? You get to become the safe, loving, and stable place for yourself that you never had. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content on healing and self-discovery. Take care of yourself.